Today we're talking about Project 333, a minimalist fashion challenge. Hello, we're Veggie Magnifique. If you're new around here, we post videos every Friday about holistic wellness and vegan and eco lifestyle and conscious parenting. So definitely click the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any of our future content. So today we're talking about Project 333. What is Project 333? Project 333 was created by a lovely woman called Courtney Carver. She started it for personal reasons because she ended up getting ill because of a lot of stress in her life, and she realized that a huge chunk of that stress was coming from the mental load of having too many things in her life, and it started with her wardrobe. So she decided to drastically reduce her wardrobe so as to relieve some of that stress and help herself get better, and it worked. So ever since she published her findings with Project 333, a lot of people on the interwebs have taken up this challenge too, and today we're joining the ranks of the minimalist wardrobers. So here are the rules of Project 333. Basically, 3 stands for 3 months, and then 33 is 33 items. So for autumn and winter, 3 months, we're going to have a capsule wardrobe of 33 items. So these 33 items include everything you wear on a day-to-day basis, but it doesn't include your sportswear if you actually work out, or your loungewear or pajamas or underwear. But it does include your jewelry, any other accessories like hats, scarves, and shoes. And bags. So it's a challenge. A big challenge. So Courtney, on her site, she has a micro course for how to put in place the Project 333. So we downloaded that. There's a lot of information about how to wean your wardrobe and cull and figure out what it is that you actually want. Because in the end, you're only going to be able to keep 33 items. So you really have to ask yourself some profound questions about, like, what is it that you like? What is it that doesn't work on your body? What makes you feel fantastic? What makes you feel uncomfortable? And then you can kind of go through the motions. And in the micro course, of course, she talks about all the different tactics and strategies for how to do it, how to do this minimalist challenge. And keep in mind that you're not throwing away the pieces that don't make it into your 33 capsule. You are packing them away so as to come back to them later after you've gone through your 3 months with your 33 items with more clarity perhaps about what actually does work for you in those clothes that you've packed away. So that it's easier in that there isn't a sort of a finality to what you're choosing to put into your capsule wardrobe, because what you're putting away you will be able to come back to. But her assumption, and our assumption too, is that after you've gone through your 3 months with your 33 items, you will probably end up getting rid of a lot of the things that you've packed away, because there's a good reason why you've packed those away. But it does make the initial process easier because you're not saying goodbye to these things forever. And it's almost like you're going on a 3-month vacation, and you know how you feel really easy and breezy when you're on vacation because you have a suitcase with only a certain amount of items and you don't have to think too much about what you're going to wear because you can only wear what's in your suitcase. It's kind of like we're going on this 3-month vacay, and this is what we're wearing, and then the other stuff we can revisit, at the end of our 3 months and kind of do almost a shopping in our own closet for if we want to continue doing a capsule wardrobe and take items that we put aside because they were summer clothing or stuff that just didn't make the cut. Maybe it'll make the cut next time because we will have learned from this experience. So that really brings us on to the why, the big why. Why are we even doing this? Well, there are many, many reasons. First and foremost, we think it's really interesting to hone in on your personal style. And by having that limitation, you have to be really careful about what's actually going to make the cut, what's going to make it into my 33 item capsule.
But I think with these black trousers, it could work really well.
It really works with your eyes and hair and coloring wise.
And in doing so, you really assess what colors work for you, what cuts work for you, and also there's an element of quality in there as well because you want every item in there to last. So it's an interesting process in terms of establishing what your real personal style is, which ends up making it easier to get dressed in the morning because everything in your capsule is carefully curated and you know that it works for you, for your body, for your coloring. So it's very like Marie Kondo. All the stuff sparks joy, and so it's not a burden to choose what we're going to wear in the morning, because everything fits us and everything's great. Yeah.
And the idea with the capsule wardrobe is that everything goes with everything. So you don't end up with that decision fatigue, which is another reason why we're doing it, which is like that thing that we've all experienced of, oh, I have nothing to wear, even if your wardrobe is crammed with clothes. Because you have that clarity, everything goes with everything, and you are confident that every item in your wardrobe fits you down to a T.
Another thing is that, we live in Paris, we have small closets. It would be such a breath of fresh air to have fewer things in our smaller space so that it doesn't feel crammed, because that's one thing about when you have too many things in a small space. Even if you don't have like copious amounts of stuff, it still feels overwhelming. But more so in terms of personal growth, actually, we're both really curious to see how we grow and how we change through this challenge, because it is a challenge. It is a challenge. We've been talking about, oh, is this going to make the cut? Is this not going to make the cut? Like, oh, I don't have enough space for this or that. Like, it is a challenge.
And it certainly is a challenge to stick to 33 items, especially in autumn, winter, because of course we want to keep in mind that we live in Paris, so it's going to be cold over the next few months. So we need coats, we need scarves, we need hats.
Because every single item counts. So a scarf counts the same as, say, a winter jacket or a necklace, which really puts things in perspective and makes it even more challenging, because it's not just like this necklace is just like a half a point. It's like, no, it takes up the place of one item, which could be a winter coat or a pair of shoes.
And another huge challenge that we have, but it's a great challenge because we feel good about it, is that we are going to make our capsules as vegan and eco and ethical as we can. We've talked about fast fashion in the past and the documentary The True Cost. It's truly heartbreaking, to know what's really going on with those cheap clothes that are so tempting, actually, that are on the market. And of course, like, we're human. We definitely have items in our closet from the past that don't necessarily adhere to these stringent guidelines that we want to follow now. But certainly going forward, that will be our focus, making sure that all of our clothes are vegan and eco-friendly and ethical so that they don't have a huge human cost on them.
One thing about having an eco wardrobe is the cost is very complicated. So by buying a new item, you're paying for that item to be created and on the market. And when you already own something and you keep it, you're not buying anything. So we have items in our wardrobe that, for example, have a little bit of wool in them from like before vegan days. And we have items in our wardrobe that we bought at like Mango several years ago, and we didn't have the consciousness that we have now. The question is, do you chuck that out the window in favor of buying a new one, right? That's more eco. Or is it actually more eco to keep the items that are still serving you that you bought before you awakened to these truths, and then as you go forward, you buy only eco and sustainable things? And that's the path that we're choosing. It's a complicated topic because it costs a lot of money to buy new clothing, especially vegan and eco-friendly sustainable clothing, and it's worth that. You want to pay more for your clothing because then someone's got to pay, right? Whether it's a woman in Bangladesh making your clothing, it doesn't just disappear the cost. Like if the garment is really cheap, someone's paying, right? So this is a process, and one we hope that you will join us on because it takes time to better our wardrobes and to make them more sustainable and eco and vegan. It's a process.
One apprehension that we do have is because we want a lot of our items to be ethical, vegan and eco-friendly, a lot of the companies that offer those kinds of quality clothes are online companies, which obviously means not being able to try the item on in a shop before you buy, which is always really complicated with clothes and shoes. So we're just going to have to roll with that and see how we go, and hopefully find some companies that have good return policies.
Which is so annoying. It's so annoying to send things back. It really is.
It is. So certainly if you have any recommendations for some eco-ethical and vegan companies online who are great and have great returns policies and you've had good experiences with, then let us know.
Yes, please. Leave all your favorite eco-vegan brands in the comments below to help guide us. So another fear is creating the capsule of 33 items and then like 2 weeks down the road being like, oh no, I don't have that one thing that I want to wear with this. It really takes a lot of preparation to kind of foresee what you're going to need clothing for and to analyze your life. And another thing I wanted to mention actually is that, so we live in Paris, it's autumn and winter, but for example, I'm spending Christmas with my family in Costa Rica, so I have a whole nother capsule for that trip because obviously it's not the same season, so just FYI,
Be a
obviously.
practice run for your summer and spring and summer capsule.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I packed everything away into a suitcase, and so it's kind of ready to go.
There you go.
So that's it. That's what we're doing right now. We are planning our Project 333. If you have any tips or suggestions for us, please let us know. Have you tried Project 333? If so, definitely let us know in the comments below. We'd be eager to hear your insight because this is an exciting challenge we're embarking on. If you want to do it with us, we'll link the Project 333 below, as well as some other resources that will help you to get started on this idea of a capsule wardrobe. You know, you don't have to do Project 333 per se, but you can look into cultivating a smaller wardrobe, a more minimalist way of dressing yourself, and certainly, you know, revisit your why, because that's a big motivator for doing anything, right? Is we've talked about why we're doing this, and that is going to make everything easier. It's going to help us to get through. The why is there. The why is strong.
Absolutely. And if you've enjoyed watching this video, then please share it with your friends. Give us a thumbs up. Certainly subscribe below, and we will catch you next Friday on Veggie Magnifique TV. Bye!
If you enjoy our content and you're ready to step up your health game and maximize productivity,
Check out our 10 days to a powerful morning ritual toolkit.